Okay, it is our time to roll. Whoever misses the first part will be sorry. We have basically chosen this concept of breakout session, of workshop we used to initially call it, to give as many people as possible a platform to talk about their products, to talk about their philosophy, and there is no structure to it here. I mean, you're going to be hearing about ONGs, you're going to be hearing about beautiful things like wind theater, and the only request that we had initially was keep it to 15 minutes, please, no more. And with this in mind, we're going to get started with László. László, welcome.
Hi.
You're the owner, you're the originator of the MAD. The MAD stands for?
MAD, Modern Aerial Dance Company.
And what is MAD now? You tell us.
So I talk about for the MAD, but mainly I wanna talking for the objective of this era. So, hello, my name is László Laki. I am proud father of the Hungarian freestyler champion, name is Lukács, somebody knows. And the founder of the Atma Dance Academy at the Modern Aerial Dance Company, MAD company. But I'm not just a passionate flyer here. I'm a businessman who come from the entertainment business and makes millions and millions euro per year and sell it 100,000 tickets from my own company. So I have a question for you guys, dear industry. So, what is the objective this summit? That is the first question. What is the objective of body flying? What is the objective of investing in tunas? Professional sport or one-time experience? What is the objective of body flying? Everyone in this room yesterday tell us the sport is the base of this era. But that is true? Take your hand in your heart. That is true? How many percent I saw the flying time goes to athletes for sports? So, what is the objective of investing to win tunas? Sport or experience? As far as I know, mainly experience chasing fun flyer bring to money, the real money. And based on my own experience with Atma Dance Academy, if the tuna become popular across the experience chasing amateurs, they are the priority. So fun flyers who pay more money, not the pro flyers who pay less. So, what is the objective of investing in wind tunas? Sport or experience? So, what happens if this whole body flying becomes way more popular? Because the Olympic sport and hundreds and 100,000 people want to come as an amateur, as a fun flyers. What will happen to sport athletes? How will they afford to keep it up to fun flyers? Are we expanding on worthy millions pro flyers kits? Or charity? Or they sponsor the big Red Bull pay for all? What? What is the objective of investing the wind tunas? I'm asking this because if body flying will be popular, I mean very, very popular, then sport will be not worth it unless you can make money out of professional sport. I mean the money, the real money. Unless you sell the tickets for people to come and watch pro flyers and fly, tickets for sport events, tickets for shows, tickets for entertainment. Because entertainers make the money. And the entertainment industry makes careers, which makes money, which make careers, which make money, which make careers, which make money.
Thank you.
So, any question?
Are you done? Yes. That was it. Well, that's usually the way it's done, you know. The shorter, the briefer the message, the more. It was certainly impacting. Does someone have a question regarding this?
I work with HandiFly, and we did production. We were lucky enough to have Matt do it in our tunnel. And I think it's really positive to create really high quality videos and media to show to the world, following what we said this entire couple of days about making heroes that are relatable, especially with the effort with the younger kids that we see year on. When they first came, I never knew the kids, and now they're winning world champions, and now they're becoming European champions, and I see them everywhere.
Yep.
And of course, I think better than anyone, László and myself know that there's many costs associated. And there's a really good question that he set, which is, are these going to be all sponsored athletes? Is this going to be specific companies investing in them for promotional reasons? Are these going to be athletes that are going to pay themselves? So
Can you take this?
I don't know if there's any better ideas on how we can move on and what are the next steps towards making more high quality athletes and towards progressing with the sport, and with the end goal being first timers and getting new flyers in.
So, the biggest problem for I think, if we do a lot of time to, lot of fan flyer the sport, because we need the money. So, yes, the tunnel owners, please make the money, but the money comes from the pro flyers, comes from the fan flyers. If you sell it 7-8 hours per day for fan flyers, you have the very short time for the sport people. But if you make the entertainment just 2 hours per day and make the biggest money for all whole day. So that is when, if make the money, make the sport people, make the real sponsorship. Not the Red Bull, 1,000 euro per month for the helmet, guys, that is the joke. That business, that industry, that money is a zero. 1,000 a month for people when the Red Bull thing. It's nothing. That is very bad. So if we make the industry to other ways, we don't make the money, real money, not possible to financialize it to the pro flyers. Not possible. And the pro flyers don't have the career. When 30 years pro flyers, what to do? Spend 300, 400,000 euro per 10 years. And after, too old, what he make it? So, dear industry, save the people. That is my very big thing.
Well, it was certainly very interesting, and I'm very much impressed by the standard of the performances and the artistic impression that you succeeded in creating. Your next goal would be what?
So the next is we wanna do the theater to open with somebody. So where we make the new entertainment, we make the new art, then we invite the people and come, the 1,000 and 1,000 and 10,000 people sitting, drink the champagne and buy the 80 or 90 or 100 euros tickets per 1 hour show. So, the biggest problem now is no tunnel in the world where have the space for the good audience place, where sitting 200 people, good quality, so not just that time of chairs, because that type of chairs you don't want to pay the 80 euro. So need a high qualified club or something design inside. Yes, that is very good where is the industry, the entertainment industry cities, like Las Vegas or Macau or somewhere where the people are going and spend the money. That. We're waiting for that when somebody come and we collaborate and make it the big theater. Just that.
Thank you very much,
Thank
László. I'm very much impressed.
Thank you very much.
Our next panelist, can we switch over to the generic PowerPoint? Our next panelist is from Sweden. And
Maybe does he want to sit here?
right. One of the things that was brought up at one point was that I wouldn't take any input from parties other than the ones closest to me in terms of this panelists. I think Anton is probably the one that that's not really true. Actually, it was proposed by I think the vice president of the International Skydiving Commission, and I looked up his credentials, and obviously he's a tunnel operator, but not just a tunnel operator like any other tunnel operator. He operates one of a kind. On top of that, he is a scientist. He's a medical doctor. He has been published, disciplined in God knows how much, and he's here to talk to you about something that he has created and that is right now the talk of the town, not even in terms of the skydiving community or let's say the wingsuit community. He has managed to grab the attention of an entire Olympic sport. There is not one ski jumping team in the world preparing for the Olympics. Next Winter Olympics are 2022, I think, in Beijing. Preparing for the Olympics in a wind tunnel that is designed, owned, and operated by Anton and his friends. Anton, please.
For the PowerPoint, do I say next?
Okay, now we need to switch to the PowerPoint of...
And it's just back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Can you hear me well in the back? Perfect, thank you. All right, I'm obviously the odd bird here at the summit, so I'll try to make this as short as possible, yet comprehensible. I will talk about the Olympic potential of the inclined wind tunnel. And first, a bit of personal background. Back in the 90s, I was a competitive skydiver. The little guy in the back there is me at the World Air Games, the first one in 1997. To me personally back then, this meant everything. Nothing in the whole world was as important as going to the World Air Games. And I remember this feeling. And I know that if there had been a chance to go to the Olympics, I would have gone for it. I would have sacrificed a lot personally. I would have postponed university studies, etc., to go for that. And with that in remembrance, I would like to, if possible, that this little small new thing that we have created, if it can add to the bigger thing of moving us towards the Olympics, I really would like to contribute to that for personal reasons. Here's a summary of this short presentation. Number one, as it looks, we will build a couple of these inclined wind tunnels around the world. But of course, it will never be anywhere near the enormous vertical industry. This will always be a smaller thing. So I think that maybe the summit should think of us as an added flavor or something like that. We can show diversity, possibly to the International Olympic Committee. We can show growth potential. A lot of our recruits do not come from the vertical tunnels or even from skydiving. We recruit people off the street who have seen wingsuit flying on YouTube and think, wow, that's really cool, and then they come to us. Our current competition formats are maturing, and we're testing a lot of new ones. I told you about indoor wingsuit basketball. This is not, it was fun to test it, but this is not, of course, a good idea for actual competition. And as I will get back to, our current competition formats are yet too immature. So we could never go to the Olympics this year, and we could not go to the Olympics in 1 or 2 years. We will need some time to just grow in maturity, I think, specifically with competition formats. Related to that is that, as I told you, I think it was yesterday, that the inclination is variable, and flying in it is not restricted to wingsuits. Oh.
Can we return to the topic PowerPoint? Sorry.
As they do that, am I talking too fast? All right.
Okay, it's back.
And as Roland mentioned, we have a pretty good Olympic connection. It is like Roland said, with all the, well, not all, not South Korea and some other countries, but all of the important and big Olympic nations for ski jumping train a lot at our place. China rents our tunnel a week at a time and just locks the door and gets the blinds down. And maybe, and this I think has created a bit of an Olympic awareness of us. Maybe that can benefit the summit and benefit our mutual cause, perhaps. This would be the summary. This is what we can bring to the summit, basically. And now, if you want to see some indoor wingsuit flying, I have prepared a short video from actual competitions that we have held. If we can play that, it's about a minute. The music really sucks, and for that reason, it's okay to put on the YouTube.
Okay, video, please. So this is just regular competition footage. This is what competitions in the inclined wind tunnel looks like right now. And I think it's not really as mature as required to go to the Olympics. If we can go back to the PowerPoint. PowerPoint.
Right. So airspeed is variable, the inclination is variable. So anything that you can think of that can fly could theoretically fly in this. One thing they can fly are, as Roland mentioned, ski jumpers. This is not a late add-on. This was conceived already from the start. So we had a close cooperation with the Swedish ski jumping team already during prototype testings. And then when we built the big one, we thought it'd be, a little thing added to all the other stuff. But as it turned out, it has been a huge success. So the ski jumpers come to us regularly all the time. It's a sizable part of our income right now. This is Maren Lundby, who some of you might know is a current Olympic gold medalist. She trains there every now and then. They are such badasses. Maren is, she's a small, shy, and very polite little girl, and what she does for sport is freaking base jumping without a parachute. So it's kind of cool to hang out with them sometimes, I think, personally. The ropes that you see Maren use for ski jumping training are the rope that we use for our regular flight curriculum to train people to fly in the incline wind tunnel. We don't allow anyone to, regardless of previous career, to come in there and just jump in with a wingsuit. That would be too dangerous. So everybody, even if you're not a skydiver or if you have, I don't know how many wingsuit jumps from aircraft or from mountains or etc., everybody has to take the same basic curriculum, our flight school. And conceptually it's kind of similar to AFF. It's not, of course, the same things as AFF, but the concept of having very strict levels and graduate progression, you have to nail each level before you move on to the next, is similar. And in the end, there is a real exam in which the flyer is provoked in certain ways, including unexpected turbulence. And they have to pass all this. And when they pass it, then we issue a formal license. They get a plastic card, and we have a computer file with everyone who has a license and when they got it, etc., so that we can keep track of currency and so on. And only then are you allowed to fly freely in the wind tunnel. This this was the first open Swedish national championships in indoor wingsuit flying. This is now an official recognized sport in Sweden. We wrote the rules in close cooperation with the FAI. Richard Bennett, Buzz, some of you might know, helped us out quite a lot with that, and some other FAI judges also. So the Swedish rules are actually written in English and are made to easily be fitted into the FAI format. But it is the Swedish Sports Confederation, the governing body for all sports in Sweden, has made it a recognized sport in Sweden. And what you see here is the dirt type for Acro Round 2. It's me and our technical director, Peter Jérôme, who Mr. Lockstone will meet at the conference. And as you see, we're quite nervous looking because we hadn't had time to train much in our own tunnel. And for that very reason, we lost. So we got our asses seriously kicked, and this is why we're at the bottom of this picture. You might take some interest in this guy. He's not a skydiver, he's never done any air sports before, but he's doing really well in the wind tunnel, so he's a fresh recruit, so to speak, to air sports, straight to our tunnel. Here's another competition picture. I wanted to show you this because you notice the white line. For judging reasons, we made a starting line, so you take off in front of that line. I'm not going to go into the details, but this is just one little technicality that illustrates what I'm saying about competition format there's a lot of work to be done, to get everything right with the competition format. This thing we have gotten right now because the starting line provides certain things for the judges so that they can say exactly when the team took off, which is important for timing reason. Never mind, but you understand, this is a technicality of how we do things. But there's a lot of homework to be done. Yeah, this is how it's done. So what you saw previously, this was the path to what is now an official recognized sport within the Sports Confederation, etc., etc. And this is where what you see here, this is where it's happening. This is the International Indoor Acrobatic Wingsuit Competition. This is organized by Jarno Cordia, and it's not recognized by anybody, it's just a competition. But this is what has really, we had the third one this year. He's been having it since 2017. And this is really what's driving development and evolution in indoor acro. Jarno is a great force just pushing this forward, including his competition. And the skill level on this competition is, of course, very, very much higher than the Swedish nationals. But it's, I mean, by any standards, it's amazingly high now. And in just 3 years, they have developed skills so fast. So I don't know. Obviously, it was, I mean, theoretically, this was conceived before, but it has happened now that it's similar to what happened to skydiving when vertical tunnels first came around. The skill level is just like a qualitative shift in turning into something else. Am I talking too quickly? No? Yeah. And that's Jarno and Janna, their team Fly Like Brick. They deserve a lot of credit for their flying and their work. So, these important to the Olympic Committee is, of course, how international is this? Well, we have one tunnel, and I have one button. No? Here. So, to date, we've been open about 3 years, and to date, we've had 52 nationalities coming all the way to Stockholm to fly there. And we seem to getting more and more countries coming in. So, just one tunnel placed far off on the North Pole, I think there's quite a potential to show the Olympic Committee that this is an international sport. I didn't put down the gender ratio, but it's about 20% females. I think that this is a beautiful picture, and I think that sort of relating to what László showed, I think there's a potential for artistic events in this. It will have to wait for skill levels to become that good. The skill levels to actually turn this into an artistic event or even turn it into a dance company or something like that aren't really there yet. Jarno and a couple of the really elite flyers are developing it, and maybe some of them have it, but generally the skills aren't there yet. But I think that there's a potential for it, because if you look at it and if you look at some of their flying in slow-mo, it really is something to see, I think. Speaking about inclusivity and having people entering competition at an early skill level, here's the one attempt that we do. This is proxy tag, similar to in a vertical tunnel. It's it's just a button, you turn it on and off, and then you turn that lamp on and off, and we have 5 of those in the tunnel, and we can move them around quickly for competitions. Here's a club competition for proxy tag. Yeah, you see it, a little club, a small club competition, nothing much to it. And this is also an illustration of our attempt to try to build grassroots, to have a club, have a real sport, have people belonging to the club, and etc., etc. It is a little bit difficult. Maybe I've just been rushing things in my head, so maybe things will have to take. Everything cannot just happen in a few months after you open a new sports arena for a new sport. But in terms of building grassroots, things have been moving slower than what I had hoped for. But we have some grassroots, and we have a club, and we're trying to move things in that direction. Yeah, like I told you earlier, we've been trying a lot of different competition formats, and most of them weren't any good. Ball games were fun, but I don't think it could develop into anything serious. What else can I tell you? We have a low-speed challenge in which you're just supposed to fly at, so we just lower the airspeed gradually, and we see how slowly at an airspeed you can keep on flying sustainably. And the answer to that is that if the tunnel is at 31 degrees, it's about 70 to 80 kilometers per hour, but it looks kind of wobbly. That's also fun, but and I mean, conceptually it could turn into something like a track and field event, like a high jump, but in real life, no. So that's not going to turn into a serious competition format either, even though it's great fun. So again, the Olympic potential. Importantly, we are several years from the necessary competition format maturity. So if there's a bid, we'd love to help out. I personally love to help out, but we can't offer something that is mature and good enough for the International Olympic Committee this year, and not next year either. But if you, the summit, or everyone working with that, if you'd like our help, we would like to help out. And what we can contribute is perhaps diversity, and perhaps, if it's any good, our current Olympic connection. Also, inclined wind tunnel buildings are not high. I'm not sure how much this matters, but we would be able, in an Olympic village or an Olympic arena, to build an inclined wind tunnel that would be considerably lower in height from the ground. Well, unless you do stuff in the basement. But from the bottom floor, the bottom part of the construction to the highest construction doesn't need to be as high as a vertical wind tunnel. And how high it builds kind of depends on what the desired angle is, which in turn would be governed by an Olympic competition format. So suppose an Olympic competition format would be indoor wingsuit flying at an angle. I think that the format would probably include that the athletes can require at what angle they want to fly. So it'd have to be a range. But suppose that range was 20, 6 to 33 degrees or something like that, that building wouldn't build that much high, which might be something of interest for the Olympic Committee. But I thought there was... yeah. And again, we are approaching the necessary number of nationalities, having flown in our first wind tunnel, but obviously there's no room in the world for 52 incline wind tunnels. So we will build a couple of ones, but we will always be a smaller segment of indoor skydiving. So if the Olympic Committee would require there to be an actual incline wind tunnel in, forget what the bottom requirement is it 80 countries, something like that?
That's not all that. According to the Olympic Charter, yes, but it's not all that important anymore.
All right. Well, what I want to say, there will never be 80 inclined wind tunnels in the world. There's no room for that. Oh, I'm trying.
We have a problem here, Houston.
Maybe it's just me.
No, it's the remote.
Can we do the next slide?
You push. Can you move on to the next slide, please? From up. Maybe you turned it off. Maybe you did turn it off.
Sorry.
I have the suspicion. No, you didn't. Let's see.
Okay. Thank you. Well, simple. This is the last slide. So, I don't know how much time I spent now.
Quite frankly, neither do I know exactly how much, but like just wrap it up.
Do you have room for any questions? If
Sure.
there are any? All right. Any questions?
I've been at the tunnel.
Yeah.
And firstly, congratulations. It's really cool.
Thank you.
And the safety system is incredible. I was very impressed with the harness. It felt completely safe. And when that wingsuit catches wind, you're going fast. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
And the second thing I would like to ask is, what your feelings are about first timers? Because I know it's important for you guys.
Yeah.
I was talking with Jonas about this.
Yeah.
And it's simpler than what we would think. As a skydivers, normally you need to have 100 or 200 jumps to do wingsuit or whatever it is. Whereas in your building and in your sector, let's say, you want to go straight into wingsuit flying with first timers that haven't been to a regular tunnel, even though there's 1 kilometer away from you. And I think that's a very interesting concept that we don't really consider. And I would like to ask where you are with that and how is it working for you?
There are several different answers to that, so I'll try to interpret it. One answer is how quickly can someone who's not a skydiver learn to fly a wingsuit? Fly a wingsuit so well so that they can pass the exam and be allowed to fly freely. And it varies, but our instructors have become a lot better, so 20 to 30 minutes approximately. But also, so since you speak about first-timers, if you talk about the tourist package, similar to the tourist package in vertical wind tunnels, sometimes even within this, after 2 minutes, we see people who just understands it. And this is typically people who have no skydiving experience. They are better, they learn faster because they don't have to unlearn bad habits. So within 2 minutes, we see typically young women aged 20-25 who are just relaxed and soft in their bodies and don't try to do stuff with the muscles, who after 2 minutes have very good directional control, and the instructor can actually carefully let go of them. We use both the mechanical safety system and an instructor, of course, for the tourist package. But they can let go a little bit, having the hand closed if something would happen, and allow these young women mostly to try a little bit of directional control and turn a little bit to the left and turn a little bit to the right. But within 3 minutes, pitch control is out. So we let them turn around a little bit, but by themselves. And some of them who understands this, some of them don't understand it until they see the video. But I see some of them while they're doing it, they understand what they're doing. So it's like they realize I'm flying. I am actually flying. I have wings. Which is a nice thing to see. But was this what you asked about?
Yeah, and it was also because, a lot of us operate tunnels, there's a few differences. For example, rotations. So in a normal wind tunnel, we rotate a lot of flyers within 1 hour.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was there, I couldn't rotate with anyone. It's just you rest standing there and wait.
Yeah. Oof, this is a big problem for us, of course. And talking about first-timers, well, I'm a medical doctor and a scientist. I'm not a very good businessman. But even I realize the problems with customer flow, that you have to, even for the first timers, they have to put on a harness, then they have to put on a wingsuit. The wingsuit costs €1,000, etc., etc. So it is quite dissimilar to a vertical wind tunnel. I think commercially, the more we could be like a vertical wind tunnel in terms of rotation, that'd be great for us. But so far, we haven't. This is one of the blank pages in which we've scribbled a little bit on top. So we're trying to work on various ways to make this more efficient. But it all boils down to that they got to get into the wingsuit, and that's going to take a lot more time, and the harness. So it's a sports wind tunnel, but a lot of things are different from vertical wind tunnels, this being one of them.
I think we need to wrap it at this stage because we still have a few more presentations to go. Thank you very, very much, Anton. It was a privilege having you here. Maybe what we could just mention, and somebody could take it up maybe afterwards in conversation, there are other athletes resorting to wind tunnels to improve certain skills. HandiFly in the United States, they have a skateboarder who does training in wind tunnels regularly for spatial orientation. So I think this is something that applying a little bit of thought and creativity could be a potentially big market, because spatial orientation in many of these new dynamic sports is a key factor. Now we have from Aerodium, the manufacturer other than Jan, who has taken up our offer to present his product here. And remember this morning and a little bit yesterday we talked about the small outdoor wind tunnels, and Ivars from Aerodium is right now talking about that.
Are we ready?
Yep.
So, first of all, I don't want you to call me manufacturer because my personal story is that I started as operator. So pretty much I bought the first wind tunnel from original company from Aerodium, from Canadians back 2004. And my intention was to become an operator. So I was actually pretty much sitting in the same shoes like some of these guys here. I have the wind tunnel, and I need to find a way to make money out of this as operator. Yeah, I know Simon did the same in the UK. Yeah, so I was operator. That after couple months of our operations, we got an email from somebody willing to have a big show and asking if we can pull in the wind tunnel in the big show. I said, okay, of course we can. Yeah, even so, we didn't have any technology ready for that. Yeah, we agreed. And it appeared that it was the Olympic Games, yeah. So that's how we got involved into Olympics, and it was the new challenge for me again. Because it was only 2 months open, we didn't have the performers, we didn't have the instructors. So I was pretty much teaching people myself. So I was an instructor as well. And since we didn't have performers, we needed to learn to be performer back then, yeah. And then I get some. Sorry, we get some tweaks from film industry, so we pretty much was throwing people into the wind tunnel, shooting some videos out of that, and some of them were good. And we pulled together the video and we sent this to Olympics. This is how we can do, yeah. But it was just random luck in this video. Nothing was prepared, yeah. So this is why I'm saying I pretty much went all these experiences from investor to operator to performer to instructor, and since the technology from Canadians, now I can tell it openly, it was a very shitty one, yeah, to be honest. It was very loud, very very bad. We kept fixing it all the time, so I needed to find engineers to fix it properly, and then this is how we get involved into the production of that. Yeah, but even so, the idea was great, and actually Olympics was a big success. And after Olympics, a lot of people actually seen this wind tunnels as a people didn't saw it before. Yeah, so it was big exposure for the sport. And for us personally, we were not ready to commercialize back then, to make the money out of these wind tunnels, because SkyVenture was a very established company, and Alan Metney was really happy that I did this show, and then he called me and congratulated me. But in reality, he was the one who made the big commercial value out of that. Yeah. Still, we were establishing our name in the show industry as a let's say young and interesting players in that, and we got a lot of deals, starting with some crazy people in Dubai willing to have these flying people over the camel race. We was part of a Camel Beauty Festival as well. So a lot of crazy stuff I've seen in my life. Yeah. And some military people came to us, and the first customer we got was a Pakistani militaries, and I pretty much was driving to the work on an armored vehicle, because it was a lot of tensions going on. So, okay, long story short, I don't think there was something wrong with the idea of flying people in open air. I think that the wrong side was technology. Technology was not matured back then, yeah, and the show business was okay with this low noise, because you could always put music higher and it's okay, yeah. But it was not okay for regular consumers, and this was the reason why the industry and you guys think that the same technology from 1979 is still up today, yeah. But it has changed. So let's pull out the video number 2, just to give you a sense what's happening. So what is my point? My point is sometimes you know, to open the, you're trying to open one door, yeah, but there is a lot of room, a lot of other doors which you're not touching. And what my company is doing for the industry, I think we are very good promoters. We are good promoters for all of us, all of you, yeah, particularly. And I think it makes sense. And the second point I want to touch is that apart from promotion, where, you know, we heard a lot of stories during this session about sponsorship and all these things, yeah. We are getting these sponsors. All the big names are already advertising on the wind tunnels. You know, we have my partners from China somewhere here. So we are getting big deals with the big brands. You know, Cadillac, Superman movie, what else? Under Armour was there, yeah. So they're paying premium. NFL in the United States paid quite a bit of money just to have it for us for the draft, yeah. So it makes sense. But the second point I want to touch is about this operator side, yeah. And since I've been as operator myself, I understand completely very well how the operator feels, because you're buying something which costs a lot of money, and you don't know if it will be successful or not successful in your particular location, if your people will appreciate it. I know nobody knows if you know, Chinese will like it, yeah. And Chinese are not actually the best flyers in China, you know, because it's very different for them, yeah. So the point I'm heading that technology has to cost cheaper. That's one of the things, and second, investor has to have this flexibility of what happens if the you know, shit hits the fan and you know, the business is not picking up, if the money is not coming and if everything is bad, yeah. So what we are bringing into this industry, we are bringing in this portability, even for a bigger tunnels, and I will show you another video. Even the big recircular tunnels can be portable, yeah. And that's another video I'm gonna show you later, yeah. But we pulled out this some of these locations in recent 2-3 years, and we changed the technology quite significantly. And I already told that our open tunnels are not noisy anymore, not so noisy, and the next generation can be very low noise, yeah. And I'm not joking. You don't need airplugs in open tunnels anymore in the new generation. Actually, the newest one is coming to Madrid this year, in the middle of mall. Not even the side of the mall, but it's in the middle. Yeah, and then we have one guy who is operating in Branson in Missouri, which is United States, and we gave him try our machine for a half year, and then he was super happy, and he bought that business. So let's pull video number 1, just to hear what he says.
We have had great feedback from all of our customers that have participated in Fritz's Aerodiem. It's been a great addition not only to our indoor activities, now we get to provide an outdoor activity, but not just any outdoor, one that fits well within our adventure theme. The machine went out fairly easy, and we were able to turn the wind tunnel on. I think it was about 3 to 4 days after we received all the parts. Working with the Aerodiem team has been phenomenal. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. They've been professional. They've been helpful every step of the way.
Right on. Great instructor.
I've done both the inside wind tunnels as well as the outdoor one. The experience for me, it blows it out of the water, the outdoor experience like what you see behind me.
You showed out, though.
People are driving by. They see it. It's something that draws people in. It's an advertising billboard for us. What I love about this is we've had a variety of all ages and all different sizes of people that get to experience that. And it's something that they've never done before. And so a lot of people, they tell me, you know what, I've crossed something off my bucket list because we got to fly at your Aerodiem experience.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
We've had a lot of local news channels here, and they've flown, they've done covered stories.
But it was awesome.
Me and Matt Young, we're about to go fly the Aerodiem right there.
So cool.
So cool, y'all.
We're bringing the first one that's in the nation that's an outdoor Aerodiem technology wind tunnels, and we are excited to be able to provide that for our customers.
Yeah, sorry for advertising tone in his voice. But he was really happy, and this will be the season number 3 for him, and he's thinking about having the next one. Yeah. So, and where I'm heading, we have to think about these operators. We have to make them happy, yeah, and we have to make happy also these flyers, you know. And to be honest, I don't see the big difference of flyers be more happy in indoor tunnel as outdoor tunnel. It's a bucket list experience for them. So they achieved that, they did it. And if they're happy, if the technology is safe, if everything is fine, what's the difference? Yeah, but it's a big difference for investor. Yeah? This machine costs $500,000. You know, what else you can buy for $500,000? So that's a point I want to say. And then I'm trying not to sell you. Yeah, so, but another point I want to touch is about the sport. Yeah, and. We had a nice guy performing in the shows. His name is Thompson, and one day we said, okay, why don't you try the professional competition to participate? Because you're good in shows, and he said, okay, let's try. And I agreed to sponsor him, to let him some indoor flying time in some of the tunnels, and it took him 2 years to go from 0 to World Cup champion in freestyle. because he had a different style, he had a different skill set, and he won a couple of days ago here again. Yeah, so going back to the topic about entry level of this sport. Yeah, if we are not being so how to say arrogant about we are building the best. Yeah, and that's the only thing in the market which makes sense. Yeah. Kids can learn on this tunnel same good as on indoor one, yeah. So I'm not trying to oppose these two technologies because actually I'm in both fields myself, yeah. And there is some people who are willing to have these indoor ones. It's fine, yeah. Some people don't have money to afford. Some people have the small towns like this Branson guy. The town is maybe 15,000 of population, maybe more, or maybe I'm mistaken, but not big town. But still he makes healthy $300,000 a summer, which is like 3 months. Yeah, so it's good for him. Yeah, he's getting money back in 3 years. That's a very interesting point to think about it. And what else I want to say? I want to say that. We also think about these owners of recircular tunnels, and then let's pull out the video number 3.
Boost brick and mortar traffic to your shopping mall with the Rhodium vertical wind tunnels. Due to the fundamental shift in consumer shopping behavior, savvy developers know that in order to attract new customers, a shopping mall needs to create an experience-oriented environment to drive sales in stores. That's why we designed the R2, the solution to your traffic driving development strategy. We took the plug-and-play concept to the indoor skydiving industry and created the first plug-and-fly wind tunnel. So how does it work? Thanks to its modular design, it is quick and easy to install, allowing seamless integration into a new or existing building with minimal civil works. Unlike any other recirculation wind tunnel, the R2 is a fully self-contained structure. It can be lifted in through the roof or an opening in the wall and be ready for use without the need for heavy construction. With a footprint of just 972 square feet, this is the most compact recirculation wind tunnel in the industry. Bring the wow factor to your shopping mall with a wind tunnel and watch your foot traffic skyrocket. Contact us now.
Too much commercials, huh? But it was short notice to prepare something, so it was not about promote my company, but I'm about to talk about trends. And right now the trend is that because of internet sale, that the malls are actually dying, and we have some predictions, but a lot of malls are struggling or going to be dying soon, yeah. And they desperately need some new activity into the mall. And this is one of our opportunity. And if we are talking here, sadly, about the industry declining and things like that, out of 5 my sales, all of them was in malls, because they're needing some new activity. And I think it's a good thing to think about, to use this momentum of malls dying, and actually to play on this card. That if you are dying, we can give you something, maybe to something to sustain longer, or to convert the mall into the retailtainment facility. Yeah. So that's about us. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ivars. That was interesting. Thank you. If you do have any question, I really ask you to ask Ivars directly afterwards. We're going to have a break. I would like to have Vince, the original breakout session man. When we first got in contact, I said, this is your platform here. And now let's see what he prepared for it. Let's make sure it's not going to be any longer than 15 minutes max. Okay, let's move this here to the Vince. Okay, shit on it. Okay,
can we start with the movie, please? So I'm just starting by showing you the sharing time in The short movie Just Say was filmed with only frequent flyers. This is important because we were talking about growing the sport. I strongly believe that indoor skydiving has a huge potential as a sport. But I'm seeing a lot of first-timers, some few athletes, but between them there is a huge gap that can be filled. If we don't get frequent flyers, there is less athletes at the end. So, if I can start by talking a bit from where I came, I've been working as an innovation manager for Decathlon, working on sport product innovation for almost 12 years, working for every kind of product in sports industry. So I really know sports industry well. When I was in Decathlon, the mission of the company was to make the pleasure and sport accessible to the many. So I really been fitted with that. And so when I discover indoor skydiving and the price it costs to practice, I instantly say, okay, we have to make it more accessible to everyone. I never skydived. 6 years ago, I had never been skydiving in my life. Honestly, to be honest, it was something which scared me a lot. Jumping from a plane, which works, was a nonsense, totally nonsense for me. And I had the opportunity to bring my team to a nice experience, and we went to indoor skydiving, and it was just amazing. So I started to practice because I decided this was my new sport. I wanted to do it as a sport. And so I started to practice. Yeah. And as I said this morning, I faced the price of it. When I started Windiver, I made a huge study on the rates from every tunnel in the world, so this is an extract from it. 12 euros a minute is the average pro flyer rate today. If you consider doing indoor skydiving as a frequent flyer or pro flyer or whatever you call it, and you're practicing 1 hour a month, which is quite ridiculous to practice a sport, you will have to spend more than 8,000 euros a year to practice your passion. So it's totally non-affordable for the most of them, of people. Maybe it work one day. Aha. You got it.
Can you help from up there?
Yeah. So I rated the mission for the project to make indoor skydiving basically more accessible to everyone, to encourage first-timer to pass the gap and to start to consider indoor skydiving can be a sport they can practice every day, every month. And all this is to support the sports growing. So as a surprise, the mission is to make indoor skydiving, body flying more accessible to everyone. As I said this morning, so I quit my job. I asked to learn how to code because I needed to develop a platform to do that. And so I developed many products. Now I have a few. This one is the main one. Basically, you can join the platform, create an account. You can book some time at the tunnel, and you just came in the platform and share your booking, saying, okay, I have a booking for maybe Tuesday at 8 o'clock on the evening, and I can accept 3 or 4 flyers with me. This is how I'm going to fly. I'm going to do a head up, head down, and the one who want to join me, they can just buy from me a part of my booking. So the system just get the prepayment on the system, and then the guy who just brings the booking can get the payback after the session. While we were doing this, we also face a problem that is to reach the indoor skydivers community. It's a huge effort for me. So I started to get some offers in the platform to create some events, saying, okay, we can imagine to put 4 people at a time in a specific tunnel, and so I create these events. So we just duplicate it to help the instructors or even the operators to create some events, some tunnel camps, and to get the prepayment for the hug jump, for example, and then just to organize it if they have the full people getting in. The last thing we are talking, it's really new, this one. I've been talking with a lot of tunnel, and we are trying to make some predictive analysis of the bookings. We can check the calendar and saying, okay, sometimes you have some slots that are not booked, and sometimes maybe 2 or 3 days before, maybe 1 week before, you say, okay, on Thursday evening, we won't be selling the slots. So we are trying now to do some predictive analysis to imagining that we can maybe 3 days before the slots, saying, okay, it's not booked now, maybe we can just do some last minute things. So even instead of not selling the slots, maybe we can just cut the price in half and doing some last minute, which will be cheaper for the pro flyer. So this is the last product we're actually developing now. And that's all. Maybe you get the topic. It will be short.
Well, thank you
short.
very much. Right on time.
And the last thing is, as I said, I'm alone on the project, so the effort to make the project known is huge. So I really appreciate to discuss the topic with all the operators. If you are interested, we can discuss everything. We can discuss some specific things for your own business. Just call me, or we can talk later.
Thank you very much, Vince. I'm impressed. You really did an excellent job. And I hope the operators here will take advantage and engage in dialogue.
Yeah,
and,
you're welcome. Oh, one just thing. After 6 years of indoor skydiving, I finally went to do my first tandem jumping. This was the day Roland just called me in the afternoon. I was totally, wow, I did my first tandem jumping. I loved it. It's totally different for me. I will keep with indoor skydiving because I'm less afraid being inside and it's more funny for me. That's all.
Okay, thanks a lot. Now, our people from Skydiving Puria Brava, do we have them here? Come on up. And Matt Dash, we're running behind schedule here, please. Afterwards, we're going to have Reinder, who will also need to be fitted. And afterwards, we're going to have Jan. Jan, are you here? Okay. You have yours already? Okay, let's come on up, please. Anticipation. Building up drama here. All right. Our next presenters will be Juli, who is the marketing director of Skydiving Puria Brava. And we have a prominent skydiver. You're one of the local greats. Juli, you have already met. Why don't you give a little presentation? No, sit down, please. Yeah. Presentation of your...
Hi, everybody. My name is Will Penny. I've been living and working here in Puria Brava for the past 17 years. And over the years, been trying to look at ways to give back to the community and have recently founded a foundation with my partner, Allegra Nassi. We founded it 3 years ago, and we've been looking for ways to increase some social responsibility for what we're doing. I think the sport has given us so much, and trying to find ways that we can give back. So after Juli has spoken, I will introduce two of the most exciting things that we're working on at the moment.
And Juli, as I said, he's the marketing director, but he's really the man in charge of this social consciousness of Puria Brava. Back in our days, we really didn't have it, or not explicitly develop it. It was there, but I think nowadays it's important. I mean, if you want to transmit the very key nature of your business, this has to be an important aspect. Please, Juli.
Thank you. Well, I'll give you a very brief explanation. So, which is the approach of Skydiving Puria Brava to social responsibility. As Roland was saying, historically, the company has always been helping out different actions, social responsibility actions, but in a manner that was not an established manner. Just like some projects were asking for help, and if finances permitted, we were helping. But that was not other control than this. In 2015, we were restructuring the commercial policy for sales, exactly for tandem, and what we did was including the social responsibility policy in it. this was helping with two objectives. One, to have a prevision for the company of the economical impact of these donations. And the biggest one is that being able to have more money, more resources to give these social actions. This system is simple, quite simple. It's a donation system that it works the following way. For every tandem that we do with photos and video, we keep €3, and periodically we make donations to different charities or foundations for all kind of social projects. Obviously, the amount of money I give away, it depends on the tandems we do. But as an average, for instance, the last years we've been giving about over €20,000 per year, which is quite, at the end is quite, €3, it seems a small amount of money, but at the end of the year, when you count what all you're giving away, it's quite an important amount of money. And lastly, this year, we have implemented another part we have added a new action in this policy, which is we committed from 2020 onwards that we will compensate all the CO2 emissions of all of our flights. So we're meeting now about 1,000 tons of CO2 and working with our partner company in Germany. It's called Klima Invest and Carol Foundations. We financing projects that compensate the CO2 emitted by us. For example, now with Carol Foundation, in the past we have worked with several projects and we have planned to work for more projects in the future. One of them is very interesting and we'll explain you that deeply. It's called Let the Kids Fly. It's a very interesting project that this includes outdoor skydiving and mainly indoor skydiving. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juli.
Yeah, as Juli just mentioned, probably the most interesting thing that I would like to speak to you guys about today is called our newest action. Well, actually, it's 1.5 years we've been developing it. It's called Let the Kids Fly. And our previous speaker just mentioned how inaccessible the sport is, how much money it costs. And unfortunately, this puts a huge barrier between anybody being able to do the sport. And I think a lot of our great sportsmen have come from really adverse backgrounds. But this just is not possible in indoor skydiving or any type of skydiving because of the cost involved. So we thought about how to bridge that gap, and we've come up with a really interesting concept. It's called Let the Kids Fly. And what we're doing is we've made a partnership with local communities of underprivileged kids, schools in the Girona and Barcelona areas. And we're going to take 150 kids and we're going to let them do their first flight experience. And then 50 of those kids will be within an age group that they can actually start to work within a year or two. And with those 50 kids, we're going to do a selection process and select 10. And then further down the line, we'll select 3. 3 of these kids will eventually become fully qualified tunnel instructors and be given a place to work in our industry. I think it's quite an interesting and a very innovative way to see how we can identify talent from backgrounds that don't necessarily have the same advantage that we all have had. Obviously, otherwise we wouldn't be in this room, and how we can give back a little bit further. So that all sounds very nice and fun, and it is, but it's a lot of work, and of course to give costs a lot of money. That's probably the thing I've learned the most about by getting involved in a non-profit organization, is that it's with good intention and good drive, but somebody needs to pay the bill, basically. So we're reaching out to you guys to help us to achieve this objective, because one thing we're going to do is not give up and not let the kids down. And how we're going to drive that in the background is we're going to make a full-scale docu-reality. And we're already speaking to local and international TVs and online platforms to try to get this whole process aired online. So it will be kind of like those talent contests, like Britain's Got Talent, or all those big shows. And that basically, this I think can also break us into a little bit more mainstream, because there's a little bit of heart and soul behind it rather than just selfish gain. yeah, and for us right now, for us to drive this action, to fly the 150 kids, to train them, to do the selection process, it's going to cost us 27,000 euros. And we are doing our best to come up with that, to make this action happen. We've chosen to work with Windiver, as we are located in Emporia Brava, and we have a lot of great contacts here, and it makes a lot of sense for us to integrate the indoor and the outdoor side of that. So we encourage you guys to help us to achieve this, and if you can come up with any ways or any support, please contact us at Kero Foundation, and we can make this happen. And just the last point on Let the Kids Fly that I'd like to touch on is how this format is actually, it has been designed to be completely replicable around the whole world. It's not just close to Emporia Brava. So, of course, with this format, we can do something in Brazil or something in Thailand or in China or anywhere where you have basically a wind tunnel and people from a more adverse background, which is pretty much around the whole world. And then pretty much that closes up my introduction to Let the Kids Fly, and I'd just like to speak a little bit more about what Juli said about our social responsibility for carbon offsetting. We identified a partner who has a long history in working with CO2 emissions and the compensation of that, a German company called Klima Invest. And I think everybody sitting in this room has all lived a really privileged life, and we've spent a lot of time flying and jumping out of planes or in wind tunnels or flying across the world. And of course, what we are seeing now is that this has some type of impact on the environment, and we should assume some responsibility towards that. So I think everybody sitting in this room are the right people to be speaking to. It's kind of up to us to lead by example, and I would like to see our industry completely neutral within the next 10 years, 10, 15 years. Totally achievable goal, but we all have to do something. If you have an idea, what does it actually cost in monetary terms? It's cents on the dollar. It's not really a huge amount that we have to give back to sustain potentially the future of our planet. So thank you very much, and if you have any further questions, please contact us at Kero Foundation, and I'll be happy to answer that.
Well, thank you very much. Great. I think right now, to basically stick with the local market and with the topic of ecology and consciousness, I would like to have the gentleman whom I failed to really inform properly this morning about the lesson, the panel that we had, come on stage and tell us about Windiver's approach to getting green energy. And please, Jordi Messaguet, the panelist of this morning, he's here right now letting us know about his efforts to get green energy.
Hello, I'm Jordi Messaguer. I'm the CTO at Windiver since 7 years ago, and I want to talk to you about sustainability. Do you have the
Please,
command?
have a seat.
Yeah. No, this one. Okay. Okay, we're talking about social responsibility. I think that we as an industry that we have to go further on that point. Yeah, and I have backup. Where's the sensor? Oh fuck! Here. So you know, you know this girl, do you? So you tunnel manufacturers and you operators and you flyers are running on these facilities that we call wind tunnels that have this huge carbon footprint. I will quote this small Swedish girl and say, how dare you? And we have to find a solution to that, yeah? Of course, to the manufacturers, we ask them to give us installations that with the minimum energy consumption, they will give us flying conditions in the flying chamber, and I'm sure all of them are working on that line. But we operators, we have to take a step further on that. So what can we do? I will explain it, okay? This is the energy production in Spain. I think Europe is very similar to that, except for France, that has a huge production and in nuclear. This is a usual day in Spain, okay? This is the kind of different kinds of production. This one, the thick one, is nuclear. The orange is carbon. We're burning carbon to make energy. The green one below, that's wind, so it's windmills, and so on. There's solar energy, that's thermal. Solar energy, that's photovoltaic. I mean, the typical solar panels. And the blue one is waterfalls. This is more or less what we have in Spain on a normal day. If we take out all that is not renewable, we have this. All the other part of the graphic is not clean energy, okay? Not all of this part of the graphic that is not shown now is generates carbon footprint. Because, for example, the nuclear, in terms of carbon footprint, is also clean. But we consider renewable and not renewable, okay? Any consumer in any part of Europe can choose what energy is consuming, is buying. And we don't choose to buy only energy from this part of the graphic. And all of you can do this. You can go to your energy supplier and tell him, okay, I want to buy only green energy. That's what I want. What's the price? You'll find that it's a bit more expensive than the mix of energy. That it's only 3%, 2.5% more expensive. And you also have a good thing. As a consumer, you have a big capacity of negotiation. We are consuming speed flying at high speed in the wind tunnel is 1.2 megawatts in a 14-feet tunnel. This is a huge amount of energy. You know, your bill is big, so you have a force to negotiate, okay? So I encourage you to do this, to go to your supplier and tell him, I want to buy this part of energy. Because we set an example. We get two things doing that. We are setting the example to other people that it can be done. And if everybody did this, the producer of energies in Europe should be obligated to invest and investigate more in renewable energies, and we would achieve the goal that's lower the carbon footprint. And that's all. It was fast enough, yeah.
Thank you very, very much, Jordi. I think it was very interesting. I think, were you fitted, Jan, were you fitted with your headphone? No. No, okay, come on up, come on. We're gonna go switch back and forth now. Yes, come on up, Reindeer. We're gonna have, right now, something very interesting. It has also to do with social consciousness. It's a program that the Climbing Federation launched, a very compassionate program revolving around a personal friend of yours who died of cancer, and it's called Climbers Against Cancer.
Yes,
CAC.
it's called Climbers Against Cancer.
Right.
Ronald already there, they did the introduction. It's about a friend of mine from England who was a climber, and he was also one of the officials of the International Federation. In, I think, 2001, he went to the doctor, and the doctor told him, you have bone cancer. So his world was stopped, because they all told him, the time is limited. Then he was sitting at home and was thinking, what could I do? And at a certain moment, he had a brainwave. He said, okay, I will do something totally different. So he stopped working, he sold his house, he rented a little apartment, and he started doing charity. And the charity is actually selling T-shirts at competitions, and all the incomes of the T-shirts are donated at a certain institutes. For him, very small in the beginning. He went to some competitions, he sold about But the awareness, especially for the younger generation, you saw already the nice Swedish girl, the younger generation has a very big awareness for this. Every young child has somewhere in his family somebody who died at cancer. So children start to buy the shirts, and you will see it here already. Instead of that, the charity is becoming a movement. Everybody wants to join CAC because then you are in. At a certain point for John, it became more important to get a little bit recognition. And when he met me at a certain moment, he asked me, is it possible that the International Federation can give me a kind of recognition for this? So I thought I could try it. In the beginning, I talked with the board of the IFC, and as honorary member, of course, you have a nice door to open and talk to the right persons. But still, they were a little bit hesitated because they dealing with money of others, and they were thinking, if we're giving money away to others, then it's for charity, we cannot do that. But then I explained to him that it's not about giving money, it's about giving the possibility for John to be present at big competitions. And from that moment, it started really booming. One of the biggest events he was at the World Youth Championship in Arco. He sold a lot of shirts. It went very nice. He did his donations, and then at a certain moment he died. Then the question is, how do we follow? How do we proceed? So with some people and with the trustees of the foundation, we came up with a model that we say, maybe we can use it also as a marketing tool, which could be used by organizers. The marketing tool is the organizers give the possibility to sell shirts, and we give back the visibility in press, and we make a thing. Because when you do a donation in a big screen, everybody feels happy. The press is there, the people who, let's say, the local organizer, the people who are important for the organizer, everybody is feeling very happy. So from that moment, we have about 4 donations at the World Cups a year. And in the average, there is donated something like 100,000 euros a year to local or regional institutes doing cancer research. So the money is not going to a certain specific one, no, it's also going back to the community regions. Actually, that was what they do, so don't be afraid. I will not ask for the money. This is a charity where we use charity also for a profit. For the profit for the people who have cancer, for the research, but also to give organizers the possibility to make a little bit awareness to do for their social responsibility. Now, it's actually, everything connects together, and I think it's best to do it in this way because people are happy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rainer. And you really put the emphasis on it. This is important. Social consciousness is very
I just
important.
forgot one thing. Say, at a certain moment, we were talking about the recognition. Then I said, okay, John, I make it possible for you that you will have at our annual meeting of the International Federation a presentation. So he did a presentation. Everybody was applauding, and then one member stood up in the room, and I said, I need 2 persons to back me up. And everyone was looking, well, I said, I propose John as honorary member. Afterwards, John asked me, what should I do for honorary member? I said, stay alive. And so he did, because he spent 1 year over date.
Okay, it's a horrible,
sounds hard, but
horrible disease. But I think if you still in this adversity manage to do something, it's also gratifying a little bit. Okay, now we're going to be talking about another program that has to do with like people that have certain disadvantages, that have certain that face certain challenges. And oh, sorry, I thought you had it on. Otherwise, I would have taken somebody else. No. Now we're going to go with this. Jérôme David, he is working for the French Federation, just as Patrice. Jérôme David has pioneered a program. He will talk about that. He very recently was one of the nominees in an award that the United Nations gives out every year to social responsibility sports programs. I think.
Yes, it is.
And let's talk about HandiFly.
Let's begin with the teaser, please.
HandiFly. Sorry, had to improvise a little bit here. So we're going to have afterwards 2 more presentations. One is Andre here.
C'est vraiment une bonne sensation. Ça fait du bien. Puis 2 minutes, je dirais pas, mais c'est long. En fait, c'est une bonne sensation.
So 4 years ago, we had the opportunity to get supported by the Erasmus program of the European Union to run a HandiFly Euro Challenge. That was the first competition for disabled people in skydiving with tandem masters. It was a success. We had the year after the second challenge in Belarus, Minsk, and then in Russia, and last year in Portugal. Now the new challenge is to have them competing in complete autonomy. We are able to compete in tandem. We would like to have them being able to fly really alone and to have special formats for them. For the European Union, this could be a strong modern mediatic symbol of social inclusion. And our objective is to have a mass development all around the world. The project will be submitted to Brussels on April, and we will have the result on September. In September, we will decide if we go or no go. We have a double mission on this project. First is to run a mass development program through the consolidation of a network of wind tunnel partners to experiment, implement, and disseminate best practices for the first accompanied flights, solo progression, and competition. This program will be during 1 year. Also, we would like to organize the first World HandiFly Wind Tunnel competition in Marseille, France. We will have 3 phases. The preparation, that will consist of conducting the first flight and the progression programs. To develop, to test, and also to prepare for a large participation of autonomous disabled people being able to come in Marseille and compete. Then the event, which will be packaged as a multi-activity public event, including competition, first flights, exhibitions, seminar, conferences, as much things as possible. And then after a capitalization where we will also go on with the first flights and progression program, and then open to new wind tunnel partners for a dissemination program. And of course, in mind to have the goal to schedule a new event in 2022. We are here today to open officially a call for application to select 9 wind tunnel partners. We need 1 from each European country. The selection of the partners will be on May, and the application is registered now, so you can contact me directly. The conditions is just to have a minimum diameter of 12 feet for your wind tunnel, and of course, to be established in a member state of the European Union or participating in the Erasmus program like Norway. The grant for each partner, we will give funding for communication operations, for running the first flight program, the progression program, and also to have travel for experts. The difference between the first flight and the progression program, first flight program in our mind is one-shot fly. It's the first time the person comes and discovers. The progression program is to have him coming back and flying again, going to autonomy, being able to come to participate to the competition. We will also supply some orthoses and promotional films and tutorials about the best practices. And then we will have a full support of 10 persons per wind tunnel partner coming in Marseille for the event, including travel. The commitments we need, we don't need money, we just need participation. Of course, we will have to establish an agreement with the French Skydiving Federation. And then we just need from you to recruit disabled persons, to provide and manage the framework staff, to be able to organize the flights, to organize one inaugural day, including a press conference, to manage the communication and media action, and to achieve a minimum of first flights, training flights, and media spin-offs volumes. We don't wait partners to invest more money than the one we will bring to them, but we need their participation, their management and cooperation to having this project living. And of course, we are waiting from the partner to coordinate and to send us a delegation at the event, including a minimum of 3 disabled persons being able to compete, and 2 more disabled persons being wishing to do a first flight in Marseille during the event. You can have more information about working program on this website. You can contact me, and maybe to close and to be not too longer, we can have a 3 more minutes movie where you will have some more information. Thank you.
Okay, let's play that movie, and then we're gonna switch to our last presenter.
After the success of the HandiFly Euro Challenge that has been supported by the Erasmus Plus Sports program of the European Union since 2016, the French Skydiving Federation has now a new strong challenge.
We plan to bring together several wind tunnel partners all around Europe. First, to conduct a discovery campaign, and then to disseminate a mass development program all around the world.
With the wind tunnel experience, my dream now is to fly by myself, to learn how to move back and forward and climb up and down.
Before my domestic accident, I was a skydiver jumping from plane in the army.
With a special pair of ortheses, Laurence has been able to fly solo very quickly.
I dream of new innovating materials.
With disabled persons being able to fly alone, we could imagine and test many kinds of competition formats.
Cyril, what do you think of this wind tunnel HandiFly program?
For me, the wind tunnel HandiFly program will help me one day, and it's my dream to be able to jump from a plane. In reality, this program is more than just flying without a wheelchair. It's also sharing with able-bodied, disabled, all together. And I have to tell you something. For me, when I'm flying and I can see my wheelchair outside, I think I'm like a bird. My disability is a bit changing, and sometimes I can't see it anymore.
Thank you very, very much, Jérôme. Please, Jan, come on up here. Just as a personal note, when I got into this sport, I got into it as an instructor. I taught many students, and I taught students that had handicaps, and that was probably, of all the training activities I've done, the most rewarding experience. Having someone that really normally wouldn't do this, and you make it work somehow. And it's gratifying not just for the person who does it, but for you as well. Now, Jan is the other manufacturer who has taken up the offer of presenting his company a little bit, very, very short presentation. And I think it's important because of all the big players in the manufacturing world, I think Jan's company is kind of the ones that are not fully integrated. I mean, you're doing other things, you're an engineer, so please, here's the floor for you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello again. Actually, I didn't expect to do this presentation anymore, but then I realized that we already sent this short video, so I will use this 4 minutes of this video to, share our story of Strojina. If we can run it, I will
can
just
we
talk
play
parallel.
video? Check.
I have just one there.
It's possible that we have two. The old one.
Oh, whatever. Well, so very shortly, actually, our company was established 20 years ago already by founder Thomas Marsik in the 1999 when he was 18. And we started like standard heavy machinery company, doing metalworks, doing CNCing, doing spare parts for locomotive and this. Then actually we start to think a little bit about how to enhance or diversify a little bit our activities, and then we came with the list of possible extension of our portfolio, which was actually from quite serious ideas up to the idea with the wind tunnel, which was the most crazy. That was also the reason why we selected, or why Thomas selected actually this idea. And there were a few reasons actually for. The first one was that in that time there was a gap on the European market, and we saw it as a big potential. The second one was to utilize the sources and resources what we already had, because as I told you, Thomas started from the scratch, but after about 8 years he built up the factory, which was relatively well equipped by the people, by the machinery, by the knowledge, by some resources as well. So then we really started to think that we can do more or less everything from the steel. And one of the parts which we can do from the steel, that was actually the wind tunnel. In 2006, actually, that was the first time we started to think about doing the wind tunnels as a business. But it took us about 3 years to pass through all these aerodynamic researches and preparation and planning and thinking how to do it. I have to admit that we are not skydivers, actually, so none of us had no idea how it works, actually. So we had to make a team of professionals from the aerodynamics, also professionals from skydivers, and try to put together the ideas. And the main aim was to create a wind tunnel technology which will be as efficient for the operation as possible and as good by the flow quality as possible. That was actually the first aim, and our idea was to create this one just for the operation. So we became, first we feel like operators, and then we changed into the producers. And I would say that after the 1 year of operation, we really decided to come into only production and not to be operator anymore, because there were relatively interesting demand on this product which we created. And since that time, we already created more than 20 closed recirculating wind tunnels all over the world. Well, the first one was in Prague, when we also built and set up our own civil work company or department. So generally we are able now to do also these turnkey projects, including the civil works, but our first and main focus is actually on the steelworks, machinery, and development of this technology. Actually, the advantage of to be producer and having this factory behind is actually that we really can do kind of modifications or tailor-made solution. We do 95% of this technology of the vertical wind tunnel is in-house. And that's and also having the engineering part and aerodynamic part, designing part in-house, give us the opportunity to really, go with something maybe specifically tailor-made for the client purposes. Well, so that was actually the short history of our company. At this time, actually, we have 3 different and independent departments. One is doing still the original work of heavy machinery. Another one is doing this wind tunnel production and wind tunnel business. And then we have the third one as the independent. It's about the microbrewery, which is another story. It's kind of fun of the owner to also do something which he likes personally. Well, there is only finishing the video. I think that I was just exactly these 4 minutes which I proposed at the beginning, but
you did an excellent job, Jan, and I think it was important. You said, what should I do here? It's we are just manufacturers. We're just kind of putting these together, and I think it was important that people actually got to know you here. And thank you very, very much.
Thank you for the opportunity being here and have the chance to present it here.
All right.
Thank you for your
Thank you. Thank you. Now, we always make it a point, we leave the best to last. He insisted on having, again, the last word. It's our friend, the business development officer of the Russian manufacturer Tunneltech, speaking to you now in that capacity, because we mentioned before, he has many facets. Huge wave surfer, slackliner, the man himself, Andre Carr for Tunneltech. The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Well, I think I'm getting annoying here on this stage for most of you. Tunnel tech. Yeah, I'm not really here to give like a sales speech because we clearly we understand where we are. We are the youngest player on the market, or I don't know. Do we have any younger ones? Maybe not.
I don't know.
But yeah, so I just wanted to lift up the curtain what tunnel tech is, because some of you heard of us, some of you probably even never heard of us. So, okay, tunnel tech. Yeah, we can probably have a. Do we have the remote?
Remote right on the table.
Perfect. Where they pointed? There.
Up there, general area.
All right. So Tunnel Tech was born really in 2014, which is just 6 years ago, and it was born the same way like any other startup. It started with a group of passionate individuals, starting with our CEO, Slava, who is, in my opinion, engineering genius. He asked me to avoid this phrase, but I do really think so. He has been, I don't know, a laureate of international science and science fairs. He's been building chips for the satellites. He's been building chips for avionics of Russian jet fighters. Shielded chips for nuclear plants, self-propelled robots for oil industry, and this all before he was like 30, right? Building himself, programming, leading projects. So he is an engineering prodigy, if you say so. I mean, he assembled a team of people which were just very, very prominent Russian, talented and young Russian scientists. But I guess you all know, like, Russians have been to space and have been building these fighter jets I was talking about. And there is a reason why Donald Trump is the president of the United States.
The Russian did that.
So, yeah, we are good with technology, and by the time we entered the market, we had everyone. We had HandiFly building tunnels for 20 years back then already, or I don't know, for long. We had ISG building the best tunnels people, sportsmen thought of. We had Russians building super cheap tunnels, so there was really no other place for us than just look at everyone, get inspired, and try to take it a step further. So 3 years later, 2017, we already opened Fly Station Japan. I don't know, I heard very good reviews about it. We had an event there. Okay, I'm gonna come back to that a little bit later. So 2017, we opened Fly Station Japan. We are the first company that got licensed and managed to pull out a project in Japan. You can imagine the regulations with all the earthquakes and further on. 2018, we opened Flow Moscow. 2019, we opened Fly Station Korea. And by now, 2020, we have 3 projects completed. 2 projects opening this year, another 5 coming in. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 coming in within, I hope, year and a half. So we have been growing, and that's just in a matter of 5 years or so. By now, from this tiny startup, we actually turned into a group of companies. I didn't really get this part before, but Frank, our CEO of Tunnel Tech Group, actually taught me to do that. So yeah, we're a group of companies, and a fun part that amongst our group, you can find the EVG, right? You've probably heard this name before, EVG. EVG is our experienced part, because EVG powered most of the iconic tunnels here in Europe, and they have been building propulsory equipment. They have been supplying wind tunnels for the last 40 years. They have been building test benches for Formula 1. They have been building and supplying research tunnels, acoustic tunnels for automotive brands, for Audi, and they do have a lot of experience. And yeah, we're very glad to be united with them. So this took us to the situation when we we're the only manufacturer on the market that has a very technological core and at the same time allied with the prominent fan makers or like core wind tunnel equipment maker as we see it. Yeah, a little bit of our equipment. We actually we don't build just tunnels in different sizes. We came up with the several lines of products. We came up first like the Pro line, the one that started Tunnel Tech. That's tunnels in, well, that's all the tunnels that we've built so far. And I can get challenged on that by any of the manufacturer present and everybody who is not present. We believe that we build the most energy efficient tunnels out there. We believe that we build the safest tunnels out there. We believe that we build the most silent tunnels out there, most powerful. And yeah, it seems like we do build the fastest one. But you can find the same information on ISG page, so I don't know. Well, we really, I mean, with our positioning on the market, we are really open for discussions. We're really open for competition, and we would like to educate our customers, which are operators, their customers, which are the flyers, and for one reason only, to make our machines better, to make the sport better, to make the industry better. So, smart line of the equipment. With smart line of equipment, we tried to, level it out because people have been complaining that we're a little bit expensive. Well, I mean, building same price machines like most of the competitors, still like we're a little bit expensive because we're so new. So we decided to level things out and we built the smart line, which is just like any other tunnel. I mean, a little bit better still. It's very easy to be saying like, oh, better, this is worse. We operate numbers. Like we have been visiting most of the tunnels out there. We are trying to visit all the new tunnels open. Like we do take measurements. I mean, that we can take being a visitor, right? Like we're not doing the secret spying stuff. Like we don't know. I would happily get numbers from you. You said that you build more efficient tunnels than us. Like I will happily exchange the numbers just to understand if there is a room for us to get it to make it even better. So yeah, 2 lines of the equipment, and then yeah, we do have one more line of the equipment. We still didn't really understand how to call it, an X line. Here we go, a little bit crazy. This is adjustable variable glide ratio tunnel, like clearly for wingsuit flying and tracking, because I used to fly wingsuits a lot and track, and Slava used to do the same, and we do it together sometimes, and we really wanted to build one of these things just for fun. Adjustable glide ratio, probably you can go indoor skydiving and then turn into flocking, and then maybe fly some wingsuits 5 minutes later. Anyway, like we are capable of building any of this, so if you guys are interested, please feel free, let's discuss it. We can do something fun. And yeah, I'm a surfer, right? So I came to Tunnel Tech, and the first thing I started doing is building this thing. Everything designed, everything tested, CFD. I would like ActiveFlow guys to do some extensive CFD for me, but yeah, this is another line of our development. And what really makes us do all this thing is that fact that we are flyers. I started skydiving 18 years ago. I met Slava, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. I was going from the antenna and he was going towards the antenna. So like among our management, every single one is a flyer. We get all our staff to fly. We get their families to fly, and this is the general agenda that we're pushing and following. That we want all of us to develop. So this picture, for example, have been taken on last Friday during the IPC meeting. So this is Slava in the center, me to the left, and then some our partners, some tunnels, some other tunnels, some prominent flyers. So we do have fun, like sportsmen do. So, besides, like that's second reason to what we're doing, and like why we got all those numbers, and why we're pushing it, and why we think that we build the most energy efficient and blah blah blah, everything that I said, because we rethink every single thing of the tunnel. Like, if really tunnels are not a rocket science. Like, everything has been already invented. Tunnels, wind tunnels, not necessarily vertical, but wind tunnels have been around for hundreds of years. There are very smart guys sitting, for example, in NASA, who wrote tons of different research and tons of different, openly sourced information for us to be building tunnels. So everything is already invented. The only thing that we need to do is to take it and implement it in indoor skydiving. We start building tunnels from scratch. Like, we don't really do the CFD at first. We start other way around. We start with math. We calculate perfect machine first, and then we try to find the best materials for it, and then we try to ground ourselves to the reality, to business, because we have operators. We have been operating fly stations in St. Petersburg for the last 8 years, so we do have experience with this too, and we understand the needs of business. Besides, thinking and building tunnels from scratch, like finding the best materials, finding like the best manufacturers out there, like the only factories in the world, some of the equipment that we're producing, there is just like 2 factories in the world that can do such thing, and some other equipment, there's only 1 factory in the world. This is why we're so sure about our equipment. When it comes to electronics, we build the components. We don't utilize the industry standards. We don't utilize, Siemens PLC, something that you can see in, every single tunnel. We actually build them from scratch, piece by piece. We're writing new protocols because we're living in 21st century. We're living in Industry 4.0 age, when everything can communicate with everything. What it actually gives for the final customer, it's we as a manufacturer, we always know what every single part of the tunnel is doing. Every single part of the tunnel is communicating with every single other part of the tunnel. We can prevent 99% of failures. I'm not talking about, something big like things went down. No, there is like minor failures, and I guess you all know that there are some things to tweak. Anyway, like, we can prevent 99% of these things, and if we cannot prevent 90%, we can fix 99% of these things without even coming to the tunnel. Furthermore, all these automation processes can actually reduce the cost for maintenance, can reduce the amount of people that we need to run the tunnels. So we are trying to give operators best, cheapest, most reliable machines possible in this age. We do cool things. We do the devices specially tailored for the needs of the tunnel. We do things like light. Okay, I got 4 more slides. So, like, even building things like lightning, we end up building the smallest 100-watt full spectrum LED projectors, and okay, never mind. Let's just move on. We build firmware and software. We have been building controlling units. We have been actually replacing controlling units for several other manufacturers for different reasons. But yeah, it's possible. We build the software. We build full-on business suits for the operators. We're driving the business processes, and we can cover every single side of tunnel operations from the moment the customer shows up somewhere on the internet till the moment customers walks out of the tunnel happy, flying with full of media, booked for the next session, and already promoted tunnel flying and your venue to the next customers. Yeah, our franchise. We do have a franchise name, which is Fly Station, and we don't charge anything for it. It's for us, it's not the agenda to actually make money with it. For us, the most important part is that every facility works the way we want it. And this is the way that we can push our agenda towards the operators, because we do get asked all the time, like, how can we take your brand name? So there is just, handful conditions under which you have to follow to become a fly station. A, standard facilities, so we put all the lighting system, media system, so we deliver customer same experience no matter where he goes. B, our software, so the business process organized exactly the same way from facility to facility. Minimum staff time, because we want to give customers good experience. For that, you need instructors to fly. This is why it is reglement if you want to become a fly station, so 2 hours minimum. And participation in the marketing programs, which means like we want to drive things forward. We want to drive things with, like, I don't know, László, for example, and we want to have an ability to just roll in there, bring a bunch of cameras, film something cool, make it available to public, or I don't know, like we want to do cool stuff. So this is mandatory participation in it. And yeah, well, okay, I just got another idea. During this summit. Like we have been discussing about this, gym program and making flight time accessible for publics. I think we're gonna start pushing the agenda of having this super cheap time, cost pretty much electricity, cost time for I don't know. Let's start with youth. I guess it's fair enough if you don't have to pay any royalties, right? Well, if you want to be. So that was something I was bringing up several times during this summit. Yeah. This agenda that I started, like, first I realized that we need to do it 5 years ago working in a hurricane factory, and everybody looked at me like crazy. But again, the biggest problem of the industry, the way I see it right now, is the gap between one-timers and sportsmen, that there is nothing. There is, therefore, zero popularity, zero media attention, zero interest from whatever, big brands. No money. This is why Windiver guys are coming and saying that, but the industry is declining, right? The revenues.
But the industry is declining.
Yeah. So to give it a little boost, we need to bring more people in it. Actually, people who can connect to the industry, to the sportsmen, and we need to create an army of intermediate flyers, beginner flyers, and this, in return, will bring 7 billion of people that. Every single one of them dreamed about flying at least once in his life.
And on this note, no, it was very, very interesting. And I don't want to curtail any type of dialogue. I don't want this to happen, but we are right now in a race against time. We're going to take right now a 10-minute break. That's what it will take us to kind of restore a little bit of normality after all this. And then we're going to go into the session 10. Session 10 is basically the wrap-up. And session 10 will basically try to come up with a vision statement that we can all pretty much adopt here. At the same time, we're going to have our host come back, and the mayor, he's right there. He will address us after we have adopted our vision statement. And then, and this is very unfortunate, then at this point, Jay will have to leave because his aircraft is... Okay, right now I suggest we take a 10-minute, but not more than 10 minutes, not 1 minute more. 10 minutes out. No, we need to.